With Claire, she provides the audience with an opportunity to see that we are never always one thing, even at the same time. That's my lucky, that happens when I'm lucky. My earrings fall off. There are a few characters that I think linger with you and sort of leave their mark on you, a residue, if you will, and Claire is one of those. Her function in the book, really, if I can use that word function, it's so boring, but it's true, is to unsettle, disrupt, create chaos. That kind of vibrancy of that energy, I think it's very hard to sort of embody and then discard, which I love because I just, I loved playing someone like that. I loved playing someone who was so unapologetic about all of themselves.
So you haven't ever thought to?
What?
Have you ever thought of passing?
No, why should I? I have everything I've ever wanted.
This is my husband, John Bellew.
Does he?
No?
I mean, in the film, as in the book, there are several instances when, you know, my jaw kind of drops at Claire and what she admits to. She has a striking honesty that I think is rare. You know, when she talks about motherhood, you know, when she says, I don't find it as fulfilling as it's supposed to be. That's shocking. And yet when she says it, you really feel like it's her truth. And also when she admits to one point that she will do nearly anything to get what she wants. Claire provides the audience with an opportunity to see that we are never completely one thing, even at one time, you know, and I think that's a relief to see that on screen because that's who we are. And I think sometimes stories that are committed to celluloid sort of want to be neat, and give hope. And in giving hope, I think they should be neat and tidy and pleasant. And to me, those aren't the stories that give hope. The stories that give hope is to lay bare us all in our messiness and still see our humanity and our goodness shine through.
Isn't she extraordinarily beautiful?
I suppose.
Your life is perfect.
Have you ever thought of what you'd do if John found out?
I do what I want more than anything right now. I come up here to live with you.
So I was familiar with the book, and I had been doing sort of a press junket, sort of similar to this with Rebecca. She was doing it for her film Christine, which is an extraordinary film, extraordinary performance, and I was doing it for Loving. She was talking about this script that she had been adapting from the novel, and I thought, amazing, you know. We met in New York, and she'd mentioned that she wanted me to be part of it, and I was extremely flattered and extraordinarily thrilled because Rebecca is a performer and an amazing performer, and she has this combination of intellectual curiosity and also a more visceral curiosity, and the two together are really quite extraordinary. You know, knowing a bit about her familial history and our connection to the concept, the practice of passing, her passion, I found it intoxicating. And I thought, yes, must do.
We're all of us passing for something or other. Aren't we?
You know, I love doing research for roles and work. And so, you know, I did a lot of research into the time period, because of course this book, the novella was written published in 1929, into passing as well, which I had an interest in because I just thought it was so fascinating. But it's very hard to sort of access plentiful historical material on it because the nature of it was so secretive and taboo. You know, no one talked about it. Communities who lost their individuals to the practice of passing really lost them. Like it was a severance. When people went over, they had to often cut off all familial contact, all contact with their former lives, their communities, their friends, in order to survive in their new body. The irony is it's not a new body. It's just a new perspective. I suppose. It happens so often, and yet we know so little about it. The word passing is not in the everyday lexicon. Do you know what I mean? And it's interesting, you know, when I think about it a lot now, I think passing as in a death, passing on into the next world, because it is like that. And it does feel like this person is sort of going onto a journey over the river Styx into an underworld, because it is an underworld they're entering into, because it's a world of secrecy. And that fascinated me. And I understood why it was shrouded in sort of a lot of shame, actually, as well, for some reason. I mean, that like a whole thesis could be written about that. The novel itself is the best source material because it is such a finely nuanced study, psychological study of what it is to be a woman of color in that age. And racial identity is a huge part of it, obviously, but so are sexual identity, gender identity, identity as woman, mother, wife, caretaker, your identity as who you are within the community. So all those things, it's so intersectional.
I'm trying to find out the history of the blonde you've brought along.
She's a girl from Chicago I used to know.
Princess from Chicago.
Things aren't always what they seem.
I'll be damned. Lots of people pass all the time.
It's easy for a Negro to pass for white. I'm not sure it'd be so simple for a white person to pass for color.
Fearless isn't just something one person, an individual, generates in themselves. It has to be an environmental thing, and I very much believe in that. And with that comes a sense of camaraderie and fun. And we laughed a lot on set. And I think that is sort of a release, if you will, for the tension and the subject matter. And I think that is crucial. When you're doing sort of, things that are very sort of emotionally trying, that is essential. And luckily, Tessa's like that. We giggled an awful lot. And, these two characters are really sort of, they're so deeply connected to one another that you do start thinking they're the same person. I did. I even went so far as to sort of muse on if Claire is a sort of coping mechanism, figment of her imagination. They're so dependent on one another, and so our performances had to be, if we were going to tell the story truthfully. And so being open and vulnerable to one another as performers, but as individuals, was key and crucial. And I think, we very much created that spirit of safetyness between us and that spirit of connectedness. And I feel like there's no performance can be really done individually, but I think I'm drawn to, and this certainly was, my performance was very reliant on her. And I think vice versa. And that's a really fun, lovely, sort of liberating place to be,